NFL Week 14, and I am joined by Andrew McGinnis. The band is back. No, not doing just Monday Night Football. We're doing the whole slate today. Jim and Corbin are off today. Andrew, thanks for joining us. No time to waste, man. Let's just get absolutely right into it. Leave a comment in the comment section. Subscribe to the video. Give me your best bet in the comment section. If you do not have a best bet or a hot take, just type the word prize in the comment section. Helps boost the algorithm. Helps us rank a little bit better on YouTube. Andrew, we always just check the weather. Not much going on weather-wise this week. Should be a pretty calm week. No big snow games or anything like that. So Cleveland, Pittsburgh, only one. Wind sustained around 15 miles an hour. That's nothing. Gusts at 25, no big deal. It says second half winds will be significantly lighter. So, but I think we're good to go here, man. Let's start off with we'll go game by game here this week. Panthers and the Eagles. What do you think, Andrew? Any props you like in this game?
I kind of am just targeting a lot of like anytime touchdown scores in this one overall. But I will say there's one that I like, and it's plus money. And this is actually a passing one. I do think that Devontae Smith is a good one for a touchdown, but I think Jalen Hurts over 1.5 passing touchdowns is a really good price. And, this team will run the ball a ton. Obviously, Saquon's getting like a handful of touchdowns every single game. You've got Jalen that's willing to run it in himself. So there's a reason why this number is plus 130, right? There's a reason why we're getting plus 130 on a price like this for such a great team. But Carolina ranks 30th in the league in passing TDs allowed, and I don't see it getting any better. The offense has gotten better for Carolina. Let's not get that twisted. They've been involved in some more games. They've been kind of at least keeping things close, or some games are going over because they're contributing to the scoring a little bit more. But when you're betting some props, you want to try and get these best prices possible. I know we always can't do it, Andy. Plus 130, Jalen Hurts over 1.5 touchdowns. A lot of times I'm betting the under on this prop, not this week against Carolina.
I like it. There was a couple I was a little bit interested in. I wanted to get a great number on Jalen Hurts to not throw an interception, and then the books put out at minus 200. So, wah, wah. I have a sneaky one here, Andrew. Saquon under 111.5 yards.
Oh, okay.
Here's the thinking. At some point, the Eagles are going to go, we've got a Super Bowl caliber team here. Why are we absolutely killing Saquon Barkley in the regular season? His workload the last few weeks has been insane. And there's only so much that one guy can do. Andrew, let me read you some of his numbers here. 23 for 107, 26 for 255, 26 for 146. This guy has over 70 carries in the last 3 weeks. That is not sustainable. It's just not. Like you cannot keep doing that. And we saw this with Derrick Henry. Baltimore Ravens kind of rested him for a couple games, and then they give him a bunch of work. If there's a game that you can get up in and rest him, this is it. Yeah. And Carolina has been competitive. I think they've been better than most people have thought. But I'm looking at this, and this workload is just too much. It cannot. If they want to do it, fine, but it's going to be to their own detriment. And I just don't think Philly is that stupid that they're going to give 30 carries and another huge game to Saquon. Yeah. And the fact is, he had 107 last week against Baltimore. One of the best rush defense. That's a lot of wear and tear, man. That's a lot of tackles. That's a lot of bumping, banging, smashing into the ground. So my hot take is
if there was a line on first half, that would be where to go. Like, I mean, if you could bet props like that way, because like you said, this number is for the full game. This number doesn't take into account how many points they may or may not be up by, how many yards he might have. Like, a lot of people are going to be sweating bullets at taking the over in this one with 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Would you agree? I mean, this is going to come down to usage, secondary options, and also the score. So I agree with you. I mean, this is one of those plays where if they gave me a first half number on Saquon's number, I might look at the over. But full game wise, you're right. It might slow down.
That's a lot. I am kind of intrigued by anytime I see a quarterback that's less than 200 yards passing. I'm like, that seems low. Like, I like Bryce Young over 198. I know this Philly pass defense has been great, but if the game script is that they're up, that the Eagles are up, he's going to be throwing. I probably won't get to the window on that one, but it was just something I was keeping my eye on. But yeah, don't be. I would just caution everyone about Saquon. He's not going to do this every single game. What you've seen the last 3 weeks is just a ton. So we'll
It's
move on.
really impressive. It's really impressive.
It's impressive, but again, it's one man. It's one human
Yeah.
being. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for the entire season. So, all right, Raiders at the Buccaneers. I got to be honest. Here I go again with these bad quarterbacks, but I like them to go over. Give me Aiden O'Connell over this number. Tampa Bay's bad at defending the pass. They're good at the run. They're bad at the pass. When I'm looking at passing yards per game, the last 3 games they're averaging giving up 265 yards passing. Las Vegas can't run the ball. And we saw this, we saw Aiden O'Connell have a really good game against the Chiefs. So I would be looking at Aiden O'Connell over. It's kind of a hold your nose because you're betting your hard-earned money on Aiden O'Connell. What do you think about this one?
First of all, should we just keep betting Bowers to score a touchdown? Is that going to be a bet that because at this point, Andy, do we got to get ahead of it? I feel like if we don't bet it now, you and I are going to be doing this very show next season, and we're going to be seeing plus 150s, plus 125s.
He's plus 155 this week. It's not bad.
Yeah. I mean, it opened at plus 200. There were some books that opened him up at plus 200 and that number went down. So I feel like that's one of those ones that I just want to get behind. I want to get on the wave as far as it's concerned. This is another one, Andy, where I have to look towards the over 1.5 passing touchdowns for Baker. It's a play that we've kind of been betting it throughout the entire season. So you kind of feel like you're playing with house money. But what I almost like is that he had a couple of games in a row where he didn't go over this number. Sometimes that can be intriguing a little bit. And his passing attempt numbers, we saw 44, 45, a 50, a 31, and he hit it all those games in a row. He hit it 6 games in a row, and then 3 L's against Carolina, New York, and San Fran. I think he gets back on track. We'll go over 1.5 for him. And a guy that's treated me so well this season, it's Cade Otton. And I love the plus money. 4 of his last 6 games, over 4.5 receptions here. And again, very similar situation, back-to-back games, Carolina and New York. He didn't get this. I feel like in this game, he'll be getting the ball a lot more up the middle. So I'll look towards him over 4.5 receptions. And the price that I locked in was like plus 125, but I feel like that number's gotten a little bit worse. So plus 120, plus 115, if that's the number that's available for people, I would take a look at that. And one thing I wanted to throw by you, because I haven't been betting a ton of these, I'm kind of interested in kicking props for the Raiders. This has been a team that's kind of struggled a little bit to kind of just complete plays, to kind of just, execute on third down. I'm kind of interested in looking at the over 1.5 field goals there. Based on some information that I have, it seems like they're kind of been, and this is a good point to make, is that field goal kicking can sometimes be a good thing for certain teams. But if you're a team like the Raiders, you need to be converting more on third down. You need to be like executing more and not forcing field goals. They're not happy. There's certain drives where you're happy about a field goal. I don't think this team's been very happy about it, but they've been forced to do it. So I'd look towards some kicking points. But I really do think that you got to look towards Otton again, especially after 2 slower weeks. He'll get over 4.5 receptions.
You also got to love the kicking props against the Raiders because they like to kick it on like 4th and 1 from the 15-yard line.
They don't
like
take chances.
Every other team goes for it. No, the Raiders are going to trot out the kicker and line it up.
They're playing to keep it close. They're not playing to win.
Not playing. It's cover the spread. Let's cover the spread here, guys. Get out there.
Yeah. They got boosters. They got boosters waiting on them.
Yeah. For what it's worth, last 3 games, the Raiders are the 3rd best rush defense in the league. There's a little bar trivia there. And it's like, really? The Raiders, the 3rd best in the last 3 games? Yes. However, they're getting torched through the air. 266 yards allowed through the air last 3 games. So that's how teams have been attacking. Browns versus the Steelers. I would just tell you that I am all in on Jameis Winston and his pass attempts at 37.5. I think he's gone over 40 in all of these games except the bad weather game. Let me read you his totals here. I remember this because it was 36.5 last week, and I think he had 35 at halftime. So he threw the ball. Andrew threw the ball 58 times last
Yeah.
week. 58. And then only
And
27
I'm going to be
against.
honest. I think on our show I gave out the under, and I had a pretty good read on that game overall. And I don't know what I was thinking. I thought they were going to run the ball quite a bit, but they didn't end up running the ball that much at all. He was just throwing the
It was
ball a
just
ton. So
it's
I gotta own it.
41, 46, 46, 27 in the game against Pittsburgh, and then 58. I think all of these plays kind of correlate here. Nick Chubb is just not right. I couldn't believe he came back when he did. That injury last year was brutal. That was not his first injury, and it's just not happening for him. And the books are all over this one too, because I wanted to take his under. Andrew, look at his total, 38.5 for Nick Chubb. I think they know something, which is why I'm kind of gravitating towards Jerome Ford over his rush attempts. They have it at 6.5. Last week he had 9, a season high. I wonder if that's kind of a sign of things to come where they're like, well, let's not put much more wear and tear on Chubb. So Jameis over, and I'm looking at Jerome Ford props. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, sometimes we have to own our mistakes, and that was a really like I said I thought Jerome Ford's number wasn't adjusted based on seeing Nick Chubb being healthy, and I couldn't have been more wrong because the last game you started to see it. He was getting the reps, and they were like, "Look, man, you look more healthy and more athletic than Chubb does right now. We're going to give you the opportunity." So maybe that is definitely the way to go. I want to look towards Jaylen Warren props. This is an opportunity here to look at a game that these guys just played a couple weeks ago. So the head-to-head props are kind of a lot of what I looked at. He's hit this 3 straight meetings for him against the Browns, but the last time out, like I said just a couple weeks ago, 43 points in that game. Let's be clear with that as well. Even though it was a snow game, everyone thinks like, oh, bad weather is going to lead to no points. Well, it actually helped the offense a lot. The defense couldn't tackle anybody, but I do think there's some decent weather in this one, so we should see some points too. But over 53.5 rushing plus receiving is what I have locked in for this. This is a personal play of mine. And this is the thing is I always say, Andy, that in bets like this, only take these if you think the other kicker is going to help you out at all, right? So the last meeting, he had 45 rushing yards, 19 receiving yards. This is why it's important for me to bet the rushing plus receiving, because the receiving might help us get over this number, or there might be, a catch or two that he breaks out for and helps us get over. So that's one that I liked. And I like could you pull up, Andy, on DraftKings? Because I'm struggling to find it. I like the longest reception prop for George Pickens. I think
100%. 100%. He goes over this every single game, and it's still not over 30. It's 29.5.
Yeah. So that's going to be a play for me. And it just seems like there's just that one highlight play that's like a super. And the thing is, if he doesn't catch the first one, they're going to go right back to him again. And then the last one that kind of caught my eye, and I'm not sure if I'm going to bet this. There's 2 options: over 2.5 rushing attempts for Russell Wilson, or over 6.5 yards. You let me know what you think is the best one, but I think over 2.5 rushing attempts is probably the way to go, just because he might scramble and fail.
And kneel downs count.
Yeah.
So it's pretty low. If you get any at the end of the half or the end of the game, those all count. So I'm with you on Pickens over longest. He's been great. What's his so here let me pull up his longest receptions. 36, 31, 37, 34, 43, 44, 31. I mean,
it's a hidden gem. It's a hidden gem right now.
Yeah, it's a really good one. So, all right, let's move on to.
And just be clear, the funny thing is he could go under on his receptions prop. That's what's funny is like he could actually go under 4.5 receptions and hit like a 35-yard catch and, be a good
Does it all
player.
the time. Does it all the time. Falcons at the Vikings. Kirk Cousins has 6 interceptions in the last 3 games. I'll jump ahead. I was looking at the Jameis and Kirk Cousins combo to get you to plus 130 if both of those guys throw an interception. That's something interesting. I don't really have I noticed Bijan had a season high in carries last week, and I wonder if it's correlated with how bad Cousins has looked. So the only thing I was really looking at was Bijan over 15 and a half. I think Bijan had 20 carries last week. Other than that, I really don't have a whole lot for this game. What do you think?
So I've got one play, and this is both a recent history for the player and also a spot that we're betting against a certain team. Minnesota ranks 32nd in the league in pass attempts allowed per game. I like Kirk Cousins over 34 and a half passing attempts. The completions is intriguing to me as well, but this is one of those ones where I haven't really handicapped the side or total in this game overall. I don't really have a feel for who's going to win this ball game. I just think that they're going to get shut down as far as their run game is concerned. I think that you could be looking at some running backs as far as receptions. Some guys are going to be running shorter routes for the Atlanta Falcons. I think we're going to see longer drives out of them. We were just talking about George Pickens' longest reception. I'd probably be looking towards under on long receptions. It seems like this Minnesota team, they're really good at making you just kind of beat them up the middle. They don't give up the long ball. They give up a lot of short plays. And with that being said, that's why quarterbacks against them are kind of accumulating a ton of passing attempts. So it's a pretty good number. Some people might want to look towards the completions in case they do end up getting up, but I think there's going to be a back and forth contest. So with that, I'll go over 34 and a half. He has hit this completions prop over in 4 of his last 6 games, but the attempts one is more so me betting against Minnesota and how they've done against quarterbacks.
Love it. Let's move on to the Jets and the Dolphins. We'll tell you guys what's going on over at Wagertalk. I love the completions prop for Mr. Tua Tagovailoa. And I butchered that guy's name. 23 and a half is the number, Andrew. This guy is 37, 29, and 28 in his last 3 games. This just isn't really that big of a prolific running attack. Mostert is just not, he's kind of been benched with the fumbling issues. And now Gardner's out. This is just a banged up Jets secondary. This is not the secondary that we thought we were getting coming into the season. So I get 23 and a half, and he has been flying over this one. 46, 40, and 36 pass attempts. And the other thing, Andrew, is it's not really been game script dependent for him. Like, they lose to Green Bay 30-17. He completes 37 of 46. They win big against New England, 29 of 40. They win, a couple scores against Vegas, 28 of 36. So it's not like, well, the game script has got to go a certain way. Otherwise, he's not going to go. I love Tua over this 23 and a half on his completions. I think this Jets defense is it's not even remotely close to the same defense at the beginning there. What do you think about this game?
So it's good you say that. You like the over there. I'm going with the under with the quarterback on the other side. So I'm going with Aaron Rodgers under on his complete. I mean, the quotes, first of all, have been absolutely hilarious surrounding this player. I mean, look, everybody keeps on saying like, oh, he's a content creator now. He's more of a media guy. He just stirs things up. It's like, look, when it comes down to it, the team has not played well overall. He has put the ball in a lot of guys' hands, and the catches haven't been there, but he has not been sharp. There was so much hype leading up to him, but he's hit this in 5 straight games. And when you kind of look at the numbers here, the passing attempts are what's kind of shocking to me. So last game, he had 39 passing attempts against Seattle for 185 yards, right? A couple of games ago against Arizona, 35 passing attempts. You guessed it, Andy, 150 yards. So even if he's getting the completions, it doesn't even matter. I'd be curious to see if he just starts bombing it and airing it out because, hey, the short passes aren't working. Forget about accumulating all these completions. Let's just try and hit a home run with a couple. So, yeah, I mean, this is 5 straight games where it hasn't been working out well for them. I'll take his under. And from taking the under on his completions, there's one that stuck out to me, and I love betting these kind of props. Braylon Allen, under 2.5 receptions, 9 straight games for him. 9 straight games. Wow. At minus 115. Really like that number. And I think that, again, if they're not going to throw the ball very much, he's not going to certainly be a guy that's getting the ball very much. I really find guys like him, they only get involved in the offense if they're throwing the ball a ton. Only reason I would ever take Braylon Allen's number to the over is if I liked the passing attempt number over for Aaron Rodgers, because obviously the less passing attempts I think that Rodgers is going to get, the less chances that Allen's going to get. So it's kind of a unique one there. Not really a big name guy. I'm staying away from Tyreek. I might be looking at the under. If you're playing Garrett Wilson, I'm going to put out a PSA. Play the receiving yards. Do not play the receptions. A lot of people could get burnt on that. I think he could end up having one or two good big plays and then somehow still not land on that 6 reception mark. We'll see what happens, Andy, but I think it's a good game to bet unders as far as the Jet players are concerned.
Yeah, I actually am kind of with you on that Braylon Allen play with Brees Hall. I'm just ruling Brees Hall out. They say he was doubtful on Friday. I don't think he's playing. But yeah, I think Braylon Allen is going to be concentrating on carrying the ball, not catching the ball.
Yeah.
And, 51.5 is a number that has my attention. He's probably going to get most of the carries, if not, 95% of the carries. The Dolphins defense is okay against the run, but yeah, they sure didn't want to tackle very much in the cold weather. At least they're at home this time. So,
should we expect a big game because of how pissed off they're going to be? I mean, everybody, Andy, was going after Mike McDaniel, being like, "Well, I guess this guy's no super coach after all." It's like I have a feeling that he's going to want to look a lot better. Like, we'll put it that way. He's going to want to, be like, hey, we're back in warm weather. Like, watch the Dolphins just run the craziest routes and all these crazy plays because they're not in like freezing cold weather anymore. I know that sounds like a picture perfect story, but it wouldn't surprise me to see this team look like a whole different ball team, in good weather again.
You could do it against the Jets too. They get a ripe opponent who's, cratering. Defense is all banged up. The quarterback can't even throw for 200 yards.
Yeah. 150 on 35 pass attempts.
Andrew, he didn't get to 200 yards against my Indianapolis Colts. Do you know how bad that is? That's awful. I'm actually wondering where they get this 230.5 against. What is that? His average for the year? He certainly hasn't been going over. You mentioned the unders and stuff, and I'm with you completely on that one. So yeah, the Dolphins absolutely could. I love I listen to this podcast. And there's his name escapes me, but he calls Mike Daniel the DJ coach. He's just out there spinning same playlist every single game. He's spinning in his grave. Yeah, he's just out there spinning and doesn't change the playlist. It's pretty funny. So, all right. Andrew, tell everyone what you have up at Wagertalk. I know you've cashed a couple big ones in NHL this week. Good job by you.
Yeah, thanks. I'm looking forward to hopefully continue some success with that. I have a great NHL promo code that I just received earlier today. It's net49. Net49 gives you 7 days of NHL for $49. It saves $30. You're going to get $7 a day for a full week of NHL. But what I really wanted to promote today was my 5% NFL play. Andy, I haven't had a 5% NFL play, I don't think, since week 4 or 5, maybe. So I'm really excited about this. And I'm on an 8-1 run with NFL totals. And the funny thing is my prop volume has been very low this season, but I find I've been able to use props to help me with my total bets. And I'm not saying that props might not go, props can still go over in a game, even if the game goes under. But the more I research props, the more it kind of helps me realize how I feel like the full game total is going to go. And I've been like kind of implementing that into my handicap. And this game in particular, I found this week, I really like. It's a 5% play, 8-1 run with these total bets. I realized, hey, you know what? Right now, I'm not doing well with the ATS. The sides aren't my thing right now. So we're sticking to the totals and hopefully we get it done. So NHL net 49. And as far as the NFL, go grab that 5% play.
Absolutely. Go grab that at Wagertalk. Running some good specials. $199 for all plays for the rest of December. That includes all sports and all percentages. You can use that on myself or Andrew. If you want to get Andrew's 5% play, might as well lock in the rest of the year. Get all of Andrew's big bets there in NHL, NFL, and all sports. No promo code needed over at Wagertalk. All right, let's move on. Saints and the Giants. The Giants are just getting run all over. It's kind of correlated, but I would love to take Alvin Kamara over. Man, this 82.5 is a lot. But my God, Andrew, this Giants team cannot stop the run. They can't stop the walk. They can't stop the jog. You name it. And this is one of those where it's kind of funny because when you look at passing defense, you're like, Oh, the Giants, not that bad. They're only giving up 194 yards passing. That must mean they have a really good defense. No, not so much. They're giving up 155 yards on the ground. I think Alvin Kamara has a big game. It kind of goes hand in hand with Derek Carr and going under his passing total, but I think I would just stick with Alvin Kamara over there. Yeah, I mean, even the books are like, yeah, you were only given 215 on this one. So the only other one I would bring up, I talked about this on Bet On It. It's a very small sample size, Andrew. When I say small sample size, I mean a game.
Mhm.
But Drew Lock rushed for 57 yards last week.
He's sneaky athletic. He's sneaky athletic.
And it's only 15 and a half. I'll take Drew. I'll take a sprinkle on Drew Lock over this one. The offensive line can't block that good. Pro Football Focus has them ranked as the third worst or the second worst pass blocking offensive line. Pocket breaks down. Drew Lock takes off. I like this 15 and a half. What's your take on this game?
There's one bet that I'm making in this one, and I'm not going to mention anything else besides this one, and it's Tyrone Tracy under 14 and a half rushing attempts. Not the yards, but the attempts. And I think it's really important to look at it because he could have one or two breakout ones. And I love when you bet the attempts. It's kind of like for me when I bet in the NHL a team total and they go over and they lose the game, and you just feel like a genius because you bet the team total. And I feel like this actually could be one where I might be a little bit worried about the yards. But you look, the most recent times that he did go over this number was against Carolina, Washington, and a game against Pittsburgh, where they just absolutely fed him the ball. And it's because they couldn't get anything going in the passing game. So they're like, all right, man, 20 attempts to you on the ground. But I just think in this particular situation, they're going to have to pass the ball a ton. I think they're going to be able to pass the ball, shockingly, on the Saints. This could actually be an opportunity. I wouldn't be shocked to find myself on Drew Lock over, but the last two games, we saw 9 attempts, back-to-back games against Dallas, 9 attempts against Tampa Bay, 32 yards against Dallas, 42 yards against Tampa Bay. Seeing 14 and a half as the number here, I just don't think they're going to be able to run enough plays for him. I don't think the game script's going to call for 15 rushing attempts for Tracy in this one. And as Andy just mentioned, if Drew Lock takes off a couple times, that will take away opportunities from Tracy. So that's the only one I'm looking at so far. And honestly, I was going to look at Neighbors' receptions because, if anyone's catching the ball, it's him. But at the end of the day, I don't want to catch myself sweating out a Malik Neighbors reception prop on Sunday. So I'm good on that one. I'll take an under.
We'll move on to the Jaguars and the Titans. We're going to continue to fade this horrific Jacksonville secondary. They're giving up 300 yards on average the last 3 games, and Will Levis is only at 211.5. I know Will Levis isn't that good. I know his receivers aren't that good. I know the Titans offense isn't that good. Just fading the Jacksonville secondary. That's all I need. That's all I need in this game, Andrew. What do you like? Anything else?
I don't know why, but I love when you rip on teams. And it's not even like you're saying anything bad against them. You're just like, yep, this team is just horrible. Like when you would go on Wagertalk today.
Are the facts.
Yeah. When you would go on Wagertalk today and be like, I don't care how well the Commanders are doing, their secondary is still awful. It's just like, yep, doesn't matter if they're good or not. Their secondary is not very good. The only thing I was looking at was Levis over 1.5 passing touchdowns. So
yep,
that was my only bet. And Jacksonville, 32nd in the league against passing touchdowns. This is one of those games where when I'm doing my research and using some of the websites we use, look at recent form, look at matchups, look at where teams, set up as far as their depth chart. But this is one of those ones where I was like, opponent rank. Jacksonville, 32nd against passing touchdowns. I'm getting plus 150. And this is one of those opportunities here where I'm just going to go back to a play I mentioned earlier on in the show, and that was Jalen Hurts over 1.5 on his, right? And so the best part about taking these plus money over 1.5 passing touchdown props, if you take 1 unit on Jalen Hurts over 1.5 passing touchdowns, 1 unit on Levis over 1.5 passing touchdowns, you're seeing a plus 150 number there. You hit one of those, you make money. And that's really the goal here for us here on a Sunday. So no one is expecting Levis to throw a bunch of touchdown passes, but against the Jags, he very well could.
Yeah, if there's one team he can do it against, it's absolutely that one. Seahawks and Cardinals. I have nothing. I couldn't find anything in this game. Do you have anything props wise?
Geno Smith rushing yards has kind of been back on my radar a little bit again. I just feel like he's kind of gone back to that scrambly mode, and I'm not sure the Seahawks really want to see him do it. When I was looking at some of his recent games he's had, he's kind of this is the issue, Andy. It's mostly been late in game that he's been doing it. So that's the only bet that I kind of looked at was I feel like it's not really being accounted for as much. So 11.5. Looking at that to the over is kind of interesting because he only needs 1 or 2 plays to get over that number. Other than that, I haven't really been interested in it. How do you feel about James Conner right now? Because at one point he was someone that everybody wanted to kind of look at to start the season, and right now I haven't really been able to figure him out under or over. I've just been staying off, but he's someone I think that could have a pretty good game here.
Well, you could take him over 2.5 receptions. I know Corbin likes that one. He's had 3, 5, 5, and 3. The last 4 games, a lot of targets, 4, 5, 5, and 3 targets. His receiving total is 13, 41, 80, and 12. So he's being, if you're taking anything on Connor, it's probably in the receiving game, isn't it? That's kind of where I would be looking. 17.5. That's kind of a high number, but if he gets these targets, he's probably going over. But I don't know, maybe an alt line, maybe to have him catch 1 pass or two catches on an alt line and use it as a parlay piece, I think would be pretty good. I mean, the guy's got 32 catches on 39 targets this year. So, it's when they throw it to him, he catches it. That's about all I can do with James Conner.
And that's the thing is because he's a running back, people are going to look at it and be like, oh no, I wanted to look towards his yards, but his yards after catch is so incredible that he only needs a 2-yard catch to actually make something happen. So that's all I'm looking at. Not really much for me in that game. I've played probably the fewest that props and sides totals on the Cardinals than any other team. I just haven't had a good read on the Cardinals this season.
Can't figure them out.
How has anybody had a good read on this team? I'm not sure.
I know. All right, let's move on to the Bills and the Rams. You've heard let Russ cook. How about let the real cook? How about let James Cook? This defense for the Los Angeles Rams is truly horrific against the run. 194 yards per game the last 3, 144 on the season. And James Cook's rushing total is only 61.5. As soon as I get Ray Davis lines, I would take the over on James Cook and Ray Davis. This Bills passing attack is banged up. Not a whole lot going on there. Josh Allen didn't run a whole lot last week, but I think a lot of people expect him to. This is a James Cook offense. Besides Josh Allen, James Cook is their best player. And you're getting a team that is just absolutely getting eviscerated on the ground. So it's James Cook all day for me in this one. What do you think?
Yeah, only one bet for me, and I actually cashed a 5%. My last 5% in the NFL was on this exact guy, on his receptions prop, Khalil Shakir, over 5.5 receptions. You're getting a plus price on it. Some of those websites that will actually tell you the particular routes that a team is weak against?
Yeah.
Rams struggle against slants. They struggle against some of these shorter type passes. And if you look at Shakir, he does not catch a ball that's farther than 10 or 15 yards. He's not that guy. He catches his short passes, which is why his number's at 5.5. But he did not hit it against San Fran last week, but he hit it against KC, hit it against the Colts, Miami, Seattle, Tennessee. And I want to look at the sheer volume of targets here. 7, 12, 9, 7, 10, 7. This guy is getting the opportunities. And because the passes aren't coming from that far, he has a really good rate of consistency of catching the ball. He doesn't really when he gets targeted, he catches the ball. So I want to look towards that. He's someone I think we can count on today or for Sunday. And call me crazy, but after the good run of no interceptions, I'm ready to jump on board for Josh Allen to throw an interception. He's back to the INT punts. When he gets an INT, it's pretty much a punt, Andy. And I think he had that really, really good streak going for a while. And since the streak got broken, I think he's back to the same old self. He never throws a dangerous. When has this guy ever gotten a pick six? Whenever he throws an interception, it's like an 80-yard bomb down the field, and the guy just falls down. I think it's a good bet. I think it's a pretty good price at even money. And wouldn't shock me if the Rams picked him off and still lost by 14. So I'll look towards the interception, but that Shakir probably is my favorite one here.
Love it. Let's move to the Bears and the 49ers. He's not been that dynamic consistently throughout the year, but I will take DeAndre Swift over 58.5. Andrew, the last 3 games, the Rams have given up the most rushing yards per game. Number one, by far. Right behind them, Carolina. Makes sense. Right behind them, San Francisco. This defense is so banged up. They literally have a guy playing on a broken ankle. He's starting for them with a broken ankle. They've determined that the backup is so bad that they would rather have their starter start out there with broken, and it's just not working. This is the year from hell for the San Francisco 49ers. So I think this is a DeAndre Swift game. It wouldn't surprise me if he breaks a long one. They're just getting chewed up. There's just so many injuries with Sam Fran. You just don't know what to do. I will tell you, we made a joke. Me, Jim, and Corbin have this ongoing thing where we joked about which McCaffrey brother would have the most fantasy points at the end of the year. And I took the other brother, not Christian McCaffrey. And now it's close. He may.
That's wild. That's wild. That's wild.
Listen. I'm gonna go on this little rant. Anytime somebody has a calf injury, run as far away from that person as possible. I've been terrible at fantasy football this year. My one good call was I want nothing to do with a guy with a calf injury. Calf injuries are like, it's the worst muscle pull you can have. It just is, for whatever reason.
It nags on and on and on and on. It won't go away, right?
And you cannot get healthy. And then I know that his current knee injury is not related to the calf injury, but like, seriously, when was the last time a guy came back from a calf injury and was great?
He's also a running back. Like that is a little bit.
Yeah, it's really, really bad. So that's my thing. Like, that's my advice. Anytime I hear of a calf or an Achilles injury, and by the way, I'm so mad at myself that I didn't do a futures on parlaying Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins to suck. Somehow we could have made money off that. Like, seriously, think about that. Old guys coming off of Achilles injuries and running backs with calf injuries. Yeah, just run. It's a kiss of death. It's awful. So
I mean, UFC fighters coming off an injury, we should start making like a chart for just like time it took for them to come off. If they rush their comeback, it's very similar to other sports. You know, it's not martial arts, but in the NFL especially, it's a contact sport. If they rush their comeback, and right now in the NHL, I mean, if you're taking Kirby Dach to not get a point every single game, you know, you can just, you know, you should be able to buy a new house at this point. This guy came off an MCL tear, ACL tear, and he's like he's a league worst in plus minus. He's a team worst in plus minus. They win games, Andy, and he's like a -1 on the night. I mean, it's awful. It goes to show that it's so hard for these guys to come back from these injuries. And as much as mentally they tell themselves they're fine, they're not. And a lot of it is mentally, not just physically. It's mental.
Centers in the NBA, calf injury, nope. I'll pass. So I've digressed. That's a great like, they're professional athletes. They're all so close to being on the same level that even just a little half step behind in an injury, it just sticks out how bad you look. So anyway, that's our rant on injuries there. So I'm all in on DeAndre Swift this game. This 49ers team, it's the cursed year. Like, whatever could go wrong has gone wrong for them. So I like Swift in that one. Do you like
I want to look towards under on Juwan Jennings. You know, he's a guy
my guy. I love Juwan Jennings.
That's what I mean, though. He was everybody's guy to start the year. He was everybody. People started to like him. You know, he was a guy that became a popular prop bet after he was an under the radar guy. I just think this number's getting a little too big. 56.5 here. It's gone under in 2 straight games. Although I will say he literally landed on 56. I'm getting a better number here. Might not be a good thing. But yeah, he landed on 56 last week. Yeah, forget about where the number's moving.
Mm-hmm.
I just think with the injuries and with even the passing attempts that we've seen from Brock Purdy and the Niners get over the past few weeks, there's not going to be enough opportunities for him to get it done. And I think they're going to be passing a lot over the middle. And one thing you know about Juwan Jennings is he doesn't really catch short balls. Everything that he catches is kind of a long, more of like a 3rd and long type of play. And so for me, this 57.5 number being the highest number for the Niners, I want to go under. If you're betting on some Niner props, you should probably be looking at guys that are a little bit lower down. And the only prop I was looking at for Chicago was the rushing prop for Caleb Williams. Seems like he's finally starting to get out and use his legs more. Remember, he used to kind of force too many plays at the start of the year and not throw the ball away. And I've always said it takes a good quarterback to know how to throw the ball away, or just in general to make the decision not to throw the ball. And I think Caleb Williams is finally making those decisions a lot quicker. And I think that he has the ability with even 2 rushing attempts to get over this number. He is athletic and he can get over it. And I just wanted to point out last few games, 4 rushing attempts against Detroit, 6 rushing attempts against Minnesota, and 9 rushing attempts against Green Bay.
Wow.
And he hit all of these props within 3 or 4 rushing attempts. So, we're talking about 9 rushing attempts for 70.
It's feel only like 4.5 his rush attempts.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if he even I would just be so worried about him getting 2 and then going over, and then I'm just sweating for the next 3 rushing attempts.
That's a good point.
So I'm gonna just stick with the yards here on this one.
Do the yards. Can we make a new rule that from now on, if any team has, and I don't mean to make light of this, but if you are in the preseason and a guy you drafted gets shot, you're taking the team win total under. It's just a sign that it's not going to be a good season. So that happened to San Francisco, happened to Washington. I think they're both under their team total. It's just, that's a sign that like this season's not going to go well. You had somebody get shot. They didn't do anything wrong, but that just means like you're just going to have a bad season. That's a new rule for me. That's a new trend. All right,
that's tough. That's a tough trend to follow along with. Tough trend to be researching. Actually,
doesn't happen a whole lot. I've got to be honest. Doesn't happen a whole lot, but it hits. All right, Chargers and the Chiefs. I've talked about this ad nauseum, Andrew. Justin Herbert has 1 interception this entire year. It's the gift that keeps on giving. The Chiefs, as good as they are on defense, they just don't force a lot of interceptions. They only have 6 this entire season, and they don't have any in their last 3 games, and you're getting minus 130 on Herbert. I know the big concern. They can't run the ball without Dobbins. McConkey's banged up. How many weapons do they have in the secondary? Is this the game that Herbert is behind and throws the ball like into tight coverage? But I got to be honest. I think this game is close. And why do I think this game is close? Because every Chiefs game is close. They just there's no blowouts. So I don't know why Herbert would be in a position to really try and force one in there unless it's maybe at the end of the game or something. But I'm going to keep riding this one, man. I'm going to keep riding Justin Herbert's
I don't blame you.
Interception. What do you think?
You've made money with it, Andy. You might as well keep going with it. And again, I think the only time you got to be worried is if the Chiefs are up and it's late in the game where some, big throw needs to happen there in this one. If you can find a prop bet for me for the Chiefs to win by just an absolute small amount, like 1 or 2 yards, a referee helping them out. Oh, no, wait, sorry. This isn't a sports talk show. We want some picks. Give me the over on receiving yards for Xavier Worthy. Love this play.
Okay.
Really like it. I mean, the numbers he's been getting, I'm confused by the yardage here for this price because it started at 33.5, and then I checked a couple days ago, it got up to 35.5. It's still, to me, too low. And the biggest reason being is that this is a player, you and I said at the start of the year, we'd be a little bit concerned about volume, but when all he needs is 1 catch, maybe 2 for a number like this. Talking 7 targets, 6 targets, 5 targets, his last 3 games, Buffalo, Carolina, and Vegas. I think he gets this over. And I know sometimes you want to look towards longest reception, or like for me, this is a guy that I don't ever want to look towards receptions with. I always want to look towards yards because he has the capability and with how they utilize him to hit this with 1 play. I mean, wasn't it last week when I think he caught the ball, but he had like 1 foot out of bounds or something like that. And it was a huge play. They're starting to use him a lot more. And it just seems to me like, the books aren't keeping up with how much he's being targeted right now. If this guy gets me 3, maybe 4 receptions, we're going over this number. And the only one that stuck out, and this was kind of just like a trend bet that I saw, Pacheco over on receiving yards, 5 of his last 6 games. That was kind of intriguing for me. Seeing Patrick Mahomes just kind of dump it off to Pacheco a little bit more this season.
Yeah, it was his first game back last week. Only 7 carries, but 44 yards. He had a 34-yard rush against the Raiders. Only had 1 catch for 5 yards, but you got to believe that was kind of a knock the rust off, make sure he's healthy, type of game. So I think I'm with you that 11.5. It seems a little bit low. Like if he gets 2 catches, he's going over. 1 screen pass, you could easily go over on that one. So yeah, Herbert to not throw interceptions probably the only thing that I will be looking at in this game. So all right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Andrew and I are going to be on the Wager Talk YouTube channel breaking down the Bengals and the Cowboys. That is my favorite game of the week for props. You and I are going to have a lot of fun on Monday, so make sure you check that out. Go grab Andrew's. What was that? The promo code is net49. What does that get, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm hoping that when I see you on Monday and we're talking props, I'm coming off a 5% winner. So you'll see me either with a smile on my face or a little bit, motivated to get back on track. But hopefully we can have a good weekend, hit that 5% on Sunday. So this promo code net49 is for 7 days of NHL for $49. And we're off a big winner as well in the NHL, but no promo code for the 5% NFL. We're on an 8-1 run. If you want to join me, join that run. We're hoping to make a 9-1 last 10 total plays in the NFL. And of course, that great December deal going on at Wagertalk works for Andy, works for myself. $199 for the rest of December. The faster you buy it, the more you save. Plain and simple. And you and I are doing multiple sports each, so it's a really good deal, a lot of savings. And Andy, hope you have a great weekend, man. I'm looking forward to also a good UFC card, Sunday NFL. We also got some NHL plays that I think are kind of under the radar for Sunday, which I'm looking forward to.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've hit my last couple of I get to we're at the end of the show, so we can talk about this. I got to tell you, so last year, I made a killing playing on players to not have a point.
Mm-hmm.
That market's dried up, man. Books got out ahead of it. It's the guys that I would want to play to not have a point. Last year, I could get them at -140, -150. They're -200 now. The books have completely figured me out. So I've had to pivot. And the market I'm on is shots on goal, but players at 1.5.
Yes, I like that too.
That is the market that I've been finding the most success in. So I think that's going to be what I'm looking at.
Defensemen too, over 1.5. It's really nice. I just find that books don't, unless your name is Quinn Hughes or Cale Makar, they don't care about defenseman props, and they're not getting a volume enough to really adjust it. Yeah. So, there was Noah Hannafin from the Vegas Golden Knights. I was going for 1.5 shots for him, and it got up to like -150. But in my head, I'm like, until they move it to 2.5, I'm going to keep betting this.
And that's what I love about the 1.5 is that's a number that's tough for the books to move off of, because a lot of times they're landing on 2. The guys that they put at 1.5, they land on 2. So the second they move to 2.5, you can just come right back and just start playing them on the under. Yeah. So the books are kind of stuck in no man's land on that one. That's kind of the market that I've seen the most success in. So I had a funny one I did tell you about. Nichushkin, I had him under 2.5 shots on goal. And he had no shots with like 5 minutes left. So I turned the game off. I wake up, he had 2 goals in the last 4 minutes.
Wow.
But he went under. He had 2 shots and both of them somehow went in the last.
Just 100% shooting percentage. He was 100%.
Yeah, it was wild. Absolutely wild.
That can inflate a player's shot percentage pretty easily, going 2 for 2.
Complete garbage time. They were down 5-1. So we cut it to 5-3, completely meaningless. So that was a wild one. So, all right, guys, good luck on all your plays. Andrew and I will be back Monday on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Good luck on your plays, and we'll see everyone later.